After my own awakening, I was inspired to share what I had learned with the world. But because there was still residue of personal desire, I, acting as David Bingham, the limited individual, thought I had to exert effort to bring this idea forth on my own. It had been while listening to an interview with spiritual teacher John Wheeler and host Eileen Taylor that I had seen my true nature. So I decided to make copies of their interview and send them to everyone I knew, hoping or assuming the same thing would happen for them. For 6 months I did this, certain that I was transforming lives with each cassette I mailed. But after 6 months, I barely got a response. The few responses I did receive were along the lines of, "Why did you send me this? Here's what you really should be listening to." That experience was part of my integration. It showed me the futility of the mind. So what happened next was that instead of efforting, I simply made myself available. I remained as effortless being throughout my day-to-day life, and pretty soon people began to approach me. People from my past began ringing me on the phone and knocking on my door. In the first year, there were 8 people who Infinite Being sent my way, and they all were in a very open state, ready to receive. Each of these 8 reached out to me for different reasons, and each saw their true nature. The following year, I was inspired to send an email to the hosts of Conscious TV, Ian and Renata McNay. They had asked for some feedback from their viewers, and I was writing in as a response. Something in my email compelled them to invite me on the show. At this point in my life, I was making art, and besides the people who Infinite Consciousness sent my way, I was content keeping mostly to myself. David Bingham, the personality, is an introvert. I never would have considered the idea of being on a TV program. The invitation to be on the show brought up old invitations of another kind, like the invitation to identify as not being good enough. But because of how effortlessly it was all orchestrated, and because the show was in service to Infinite Being, I felt inspired to accept the invitation.